and is the master of the proud t-shirt of Joe Son. No, please welcome from Huntington Beach, California, Joe Son.
And you said that you were an actor. What do you do with acting?
Joseph Hyungmin Son was born on November 22, 1970, in Gwangju, South Korea, but moved to Garden Grove, California at an early age. Little is known about his early life, but we do know that in his early 20s, he joined a Christian group and operated in the Huntington Beach area. While he lacked significant martial arts experience, he managed to persuade Art Davies, who was one of the UFC's owners at the time, to include him and Kimo Leopoldo in the UFC lineup. Leopoldo was promoted as a Taekwondo black belt, while Joe Son was introduced as a Yosondo specialist, a martial art that was made for him.
How did you do in your fighting career?
I lost all my fights. I was in UFC 4.
On December 16, 1994, Joe Son made his debut at UFC 4. Joe Son, standing at 5'6", 235 pounds, fought Keith Hackney, who was 5'11 and a half and 200 pounds. In the first round, Joe Son secured a takedown and performed a guillotine. Hackney was able to break out and proceeded to punch Joe Son in the balls around 20 times. Hackney then beat Joe Son by blood choke, eliminating him from the UFC 4 tournament. After the loss, he left to Japan and made his kickboxing debut at K1 Legend 95, where Nobuaki Kakuta, also known as the Bushido Bulldozer, defeated Joe Son by first-round KO. He also got into acting while fighting from 1993 to 1997. Joe Son's biggest role was the villain, Random Task, in Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery. Son was also a professional wrestler in Japan for a short time, wrestling Shinya Hashimoto at All Japan Pro, wrestling's second Wrestle 1 event, and working as singer and dancer for Hustle's third event. Joe Son then disappeared until 2002. He decided to fight in the infamous Japanese MMA promotion Pride. Joe Son was defeated by Yusuke Imamura at Pride FC, the best Volume 1 by TKO via elbow injury in 33 seconds. Less than a month later, he flew to Los Angeles to fight in Extreme Pancration 2, where he was beaten so bad that he refused to continue the fight, becoming the first person in MMA history to be listed as submitted by Terror. On July 20, 2002, Joe Son made a return to Pride, at Pride FC, the best Volume 2, losing to Jukei Nakajima by TKO via shoulder injury. After this loss, he decided to retire with the MMA record of 0-4.
I lost both fights and pro wrestled there for a little while.
In May of 2008, Joe Son kicked in the car door of an ex-roommate. He was arrested and charged with felony vandalism. Joe Son pled guilty and was given 60 days in jail with probation and a mandatory DNA test. A few months later, he was given an additional 90 days for probation violation due to Joe Son failing to report his residence to the Department of Probation. When the DNA test results came in, they linked Joe Son to an unsolved rape from 1990 in Huntington Beach, California, meaning that Joe Son had a career in MMA and acting while having this dark secret. On Christmas Eve in 1990, a 19-year-old woman was walking her dog when Joe Son and his accomplice Santiago Gaitan approached her under the pretense of seeking directions. They then hit her in the head with a gun and dragged her into a car. The victim, who does not use her real name for interviews, is quoted as saying that one of the men whispered into her ear something along the lines of, "I'm gonna kill you so bad, I'm gonna throw you off a cliff, I'm gonna mutilate you, and throw you." They then took her to another location, where they beat and took turns taking advantage of her for hours. After they were done, Joe Son told her something along the lines of, "You're lucky it's Christmas," and kicked her out of the vehicle with only a jacket. The woman ran to a nearby house and called the police. In 2009, Santiago Gaitan was arrested, and a year later he pled guilty to multiple sex crimes. He was sentenced to 17 years and 4 months in prison. Shockingly, Joe Son's initial charges were dropped due to the statute of limitation, but that didn't mean he was let off. He was charged with conspiracy to commit murder and torture. He continued to plead innocent and took it to trial, where he was found guilty. Joe Son received the sentence of 7 years to life and was sent to Wasco State Prison. But his criminal history doesn't end there. On October 10, 2011, the police went to Joe Son's cell, where they found his cellmate, Michael Graham, who was in there for failing to register as a sex offender, beaten to death. Joe Sun told the police, "I told you I need to get out of here," and was handcuffed. Sun was taken to solitary confinement, and at his trial in 2017, he was found guilty of voluntary manslaughter. He was given a 27-year sentence. Till this day, Joe Sun is still in prison and will be there for the rest of his life.
You were an actor. What do you do with acting?
I do comedy, play bad guys sometimes. Did you see Austin Powers?